The Midnight Burn.
Welcome to the Midnight Burn, where the darkness of Mississippi's past refuses to stay buried. I'm your guide through tonight's tale, a story that begins with trust and ends with the truth. So delayed you'd think time itself had forgotten how to tell it. Sometimes evil wears no mask. Sometimes it simply knocks. September 5th, 1990. Labor Day in Starkville, Mississippi. And the heat clung to everything like guilt on a sinner's conscience. Most folks were winding down their holiday baseball games, flickering on screens across town. The familiar rhythm of America's pastime, lulling the innocent into false security. But evil doesn't take holidays. At 81, Catherine Kriegler had seen enough of life to know that bad things happen to good people. What she couldn't have known was that bad things were about to happen to her. The phone call she would make that night. If you can call dragging yourself across blood-soaked carpet to reach a telephone, a simple phone call would echo through nearly 3 decades of House on Highway 82 told its own story. When officers arrived, Betty Jones lay in the living room. Her life ended as abruptly as a sentence cut short mid-word. That knock came while Betty Jones was probably settling in for the evening. Maybe she was making tea. Maybe she was checking on Catherine. We'll never know those final peaceful moments, because the moment she turned that doorknob, peace died. The attack was swift and merciless. One moment Betty was answering the door, probably with a smile, because that's what decent people do when neighbors come calling. The next moment she was dying on her living room floor, while her killer moved through the house. Catherine Kriegler, trapped in her wheelchair, became the second act of this nightmare. At 81 years old, she endured an assault so brutal, so depraved that it challenges everything we want to believe about human nature. The monster who had just murdered her friend turned that same violence on her, leaving her broken and bleeding and certain she would die. But Catherine Kriegler had something her attacker didn't count on. When he left her for dead and vanished into the Mississippi night, she began what might be the most heroic journey ever taken. Crawling across her own house, through her own blood to reach a telephone and call for help. The investigators who worked that crime scene well, they collected and analyzed that scene like a fine-toothed comb. Fingerprints that seemed to belong to no one. A cigarette pack, the kind sold at only 2 stores in Starkville. That felt like a clue until it became just another dead end. But the most important evidence was also the most frustrating. The rape kit collected from Catherine Kriegler. In 1990, DNA analysis was like having a book written in a language no one could read. The technology existed, but barely. The sample was there, preserved and waiting, but science hadn't caught up to justice yet. Catherine gave them everything she could. White male, blue eyes, complexion that spoke of time spent in Mississippi sun, dirty blonde hair that probably looked respectable in daylight, but had been twisted into something sinister by darkness and intent. They created a composite sketch and distributed it like wanted posters in the Old West. Someone somewhere had to recognize those features. Someone had to know this monster. 2 months after that terrible night, Catherine Kriegler lost her final battle, the only person who had looked this killer in the eye. The case had lost its most important witness, and with her death, it lost hope. 3 years into the investigation, desperation led to television. America's Most Wanted shined its national spotlight on the Labor Day murder. Hoping someone somewhere would recognize evil when they saw it projected on their screen. Each lead was pursued with the dedication of bloodhounds. But every trail went cold before it reached its destination. Then the calls stopped coming. The case files gathered dust. The Labor Day murder became just another cold case in a world full of unsolved mysteries. But in 2004, Detective Lott inherited those dusty files and something else. Obsession, the kind of consuming need for justice. Those fingerprints from the cigarette pack was worthless. But that rape kit preserved in cardboard held secrets that were waiting for the right moment to speak. 15 years after Betty Jones died answering her door well, science finally caught up to evil. Detective Lott sent that rape kit to Scales Biological Laboratory. But when they uploaded that profile to the National DNA Database, there was just silence, no matches. The killer wasn't in the system, wasn't among the usual suspects. That's when Detective Lott discovered genetic genealogy, this new science that could cast nets wider than the Mississippi Delta, catching not just criminals, but their families, their cousins, their bloodlines stretching back through generations. 3 months after the genealogists began their work, those nets caught something. 2 brothers, one was a successful businessman, the other a man who had danced with the law. Michael Devin, 51 years old. In 2018, living quiet as a church mouse in Boonville, about 100 miles from the scene of his crimes. This was the face that had smiled at Betty Jones before cutting her throat. This was the man who had looked at an 81-year-old woman in a wheelchair and seen opportunity instead of humanity. For 28 years, he had lived with his secrets, probably thinking he was safe. Maybe, just maybe, he even convinced himself he was a different person. That the monster who had emerged on Labor Day 1990 was just a nightmare he once had. But DNA doesn't lie. 2018, he had no idea. He was handing investigators the final piece of their puzzle. His DNA went into the system, and the system remembered everything. The match was perfect. After 28 years, Betty Jones and Catherine Kriegler finally had their killer. Detective Lott wanted more than just an arrest. He wanted a confession.
Okay, we're obviously here for a reason. We know what you did back there in your 20s in Starkville. It's 100% that you did it, and we have the physical evidence.
Yes, sir. I know this day was coming. I've been expecting it a lot sooner than what is here now. You say you know what went on and what happened?
Yeah.
Well, I think now's when I want to tell you that I don't want to say nothing else.
Michael Devin wasn't talking. Whatever demons had driven him to that house on Highway 82, he was keeping them locked away where even he couldn't reach them. He was charged with capital murder and sexual assault. The state of Mississippi was prepared to seek the ultimate penalty, death by lethal injection. Then came the day of the press conference, and fate revealed its sense of irony. The day they announced Devin's arrest was Betty Jones' birthday. Somewhere beyond the veil, a sweet old lady was finally getting her justice served. Devin chose life without parole. But he never explained why. Never offered the families the closure they deserved. Some secrets are too dark, even for the darkness that spawned them. Mississippi stories never really end. They just wait for the next chapter. Please like and subscribe to my channel. This has been Themidnightburn, and have music on Spotify and Apple Music. Until next time, catch the dice. They rollin'.